Good morning and welcome to Matters Financial and Geopolitical from a Frontier. Thank you for stopping by. Let's move on to political reflections. I like this quote from Hayek and Keynes. Trump has waged 3 wars without firing a single bullet. Turkey, Venezuela, and China have all faced serious economic sanctions since he took office. One is about to experience a regime change. I've written about this severally. August 2018, I said Trump seems to be relishing his financial warfare strategies. He has Khamenei on the run, Maduro in Venezuela being attacked by a remote-controlled drone, and being sent to that edge that Hunter S. Thompson described. And I added, Z looks ever so fragile as well. Robert Fisk writing in The Independent, we've seen the West's approach to Venezuela before, in Syria, in Egypt, in Afghanistan. Need I go on? The closest I ever came to Venezuela many years ago was a transit connection at Caracas Airport. I noticed a lot of soldiers in red berets and a clutch of goons, and it reminded me vaguely of the Middle East, he says. Now sitting in the rain squalls of the wintry Levant, I flick through my newspaper clippings of our recent local autocrats. Saddam, Assad, al-Sisi, Erdogan, Mohammed bin Salman. You can fill in the rest for yourself. And I think of Nicolas Maduro. The comparisons are by no means precise. It's not the nature of the strong men I'm thinking about. It's our reaction to all these chaps. And there are 2 obvious parallels: the way in which we sanction and isolate the hated dictator, or love him, as the case may be, and the manner in which we not only name the opposition as the rightful heir of the nation, but demand that democracy be delivered to the people whose torture and struggle for freedom we have suddenly discovered. And before I forget it, there's one other common thread in this story. If you suggest that those who want presidential change in Venezuela may be a little too hasty, and our support for, let us say, Juan Guaido might be a bit premature. If we don't want to start a civil war, this means you are pro-Maduro, just as those who opposed the 2003 invasion of Iraq were pro-Saddam, or those who thought the West might pause before it supported the increasingly violent opposition in Syria were labeled pro-Assad. I recall how George W. Bush warned us after 9/11 that you're either with us or against us. The same threat was made to us about Assad. I quote Trump's U.S. Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, on Maduro. Now it is time for every other nation to pick a side. Either you stand with the forces of freedom, or you're in league with Maduro and his mayhem. You get the point. Now is the time for all good people to stand alongside the United States, the EU, the nations of Latin America. Or do you support the Ruskies, the Chinese, the Iranian headbangers, the perfidious Corbyn, and of all people, the Greeks? And now let's tick the box on another Maduro lookalike, at least from the West's simplistic point of view, the military-backed elected Field Marshal President al-Sisi of Egypt, whom we love, admire, and protect. Powerful dictator? Yes. Surrounded and supported by generals? You bet. Not least because he locked up a rival general before the last election. Suppression? Absolutely. All in the interest of crushing terrorism, of course. Then he's talking about how the Americans are negotiating with the terrorist Taliban in Qatar so they can get the hell out of the graveyard of empires after 17 years of military setbacks, scandals, and defeats, not to mention running a few torture camps which even Maduro would cough to look at. Now, all this may not encourage you to walk down memory lane, and I haven't even listed the sins of Saddam, let alone our continuing and cozy relationship amazing as it still seems, with that Gulf state whose lads strangled, chopped up, secretly buried a US resident journalist in Turkey. Now just imagine if Maduro, tired of a journalist critic slandering him in Miami, decided to lure him to the Venezuelan embassy in Washington and top the poor guy, slice him up and bury him secretly in Foggy Bottom. In other words, good luck, but watch out. Instead of pleading with those who will not support him, the Greeks, for example, he might take a closer look at who his foreign friends are. 4th of February this year, I said Maduro is, I am afraid, going down just like Muammar went down, and as did Saddam. October 2011, I wrote a piece, Gaddafi's body in a freezer, what's the message? And I was talking about Marshall McLuhan's prediction in the Gutenberg galaxy that the new electronic interdependence recreates the world in the image of a global village has come to pass. The image of a bloodied Gaddafi, then of a dead Gaddafi in a meat locker, have flashed around the world via the mobile, YouTube, and Twitter. And I asked, who's in charge of the messaging? Through the fog of real-time and raw footage, I note a very powerful message. The essence of that message being, don't F-U-C-K with us, because you will end up dead and a trophy souvenir in a fridge. That same person is probably repeating Muammar's comment, I tell the coward crusaders, I live in a place where you can't get me. I live in the hearts of millions, and asking, really? Are you, or are you now dead and in a meat locker? And then November last year, I wrote about Khashoggi being murdered in cold blood in an obviously Quentin Tarantino-style operation. MBS counterintuitively bought Salvatore Mundi, which is a painting of Christ as Salvatore Mundi, Latin for Savior of the world. And that might not have sat so well with the fact that the king is called the custodian of the two holy mosques, after all. V.K. Singh in The Hindu is saying there's no encirclement by China, none at all, nothing to worry about. I don't think we're surrounded, he further stated. China has, of course, built a series of dual-use facilities in the Indian Ocean around India, which began to be referred as the string of pearls. And I've spoken about this before. China has a chokehold over India, whether it's the Doklam Plateau, Gwadar Port, Hambantota Port, the intrusion into the Indian Ocean. Moving on, the White House advisor Larry Kudlow told reporters that Trump and Xi will meet at some point in the distant future. And I wrote at the end of the year, I said the trajectory of the tariff war is another pivotal curve to keep an eye on in 2019.